Hi, folks. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on when and where you're watching from. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're doing well. As I mentioned in my first video, we would talk openly and without any filters to help each other, showing our true feelings and thoughts on this matter. And we will dive a little deeper into this case, questions and possibilities. So, this is going to be an interesting video because today we're not just going to talk about what happened, we're going to dig deeper. But before we begin, I want to take a moment to thank every single one of you who watched my first video, left comments, liked it, and even subscribed to the channel. It genuinely means a lot. Not just because of the support, but because it shows that people are paying attention, that people care. Because when you support content like this, it tells me that you care about these stories, and more importantly, you care about finding the truth. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider doing so. It helps more than you think, and it allows me to keep bringing more details and concerns like this to you. Most of you are probably familiar with the 5 W's and a H, a simple but powerful framework for uncovering the truth. Who, what, where, when, why, and how. When you start asking the right questions in the right way, you don't just gather information, you begin to solve puzzles that once seemed impossible. And that's exactly what we're trying to do here on this channel. So let's break it down together. Who is involved in Nancy's case? Or who took her? What really happened to Nancy? Where did it all unfold? And more importantly, where is she now? Why did it happen? How did it happen? Now, be honest. How many of these can you confidently answer? 2? Maybe 3? If you think you know more, don't keep it to yourself. Share your thoughts in the comments. Your perspective could help bring us closer to the truth. Because here's what we do know. We know what happened. Nancy disappeared. We know when it happened, the night everything changed. We have a partial answer to where. It began at her home, but where she is now remains a mystery. Everything else, still unanswered. So now I want to challenge you. How many of the 5 W's and a H can you help uncover? Leave your answers in the comments. Moving on. Now let's look into timelines, into behaviors, including family and investigators, and into the questions that for some reason still don't have clear answers. Because sometimes what's missing from a story is just as important as what's already been told. All right, without wasting any time, let's get into this. This is the part where we will talk about before the disappearance. Let's rewind a bit, because in cases like this, the answers don't always start at the moment someone vanishes. Sometimes they start days, weeks, even months before. Even before Nancy disappeared, there are questions we need to ask. Simple questions, but very important ones. First, when were the cameras installed at the house? Because cameras are not just decoration. They are meant for security, for evidence, for protection. They are there for moments exactly like this. Second, was there ever a subscription for storing footage? Because most modern security systems require cloud storage. Without it, footage disappears. And if there was a subscription, when was it canceled? Who canceled it? And most importantly, why? Now think about that for a second. We're not talking about an unaffordable luxury. Again, we're talking about something that could cost around $100 to $150 a year. For a family that could afford a big home, this doesn't seem like something you would cut, especially when an elderly person is living there, especially when safety should be a priority, especially when the resident of the house has health issues and is 84 years old. Don't you think? So the question becomes, was this just a financial decision? Or was it neglect? Or something else entirely? Was it an oversight? Or was it intentional? Now, I'll be honest. I haven't seen clear answers to these questions. Maybe you have. If you have, let me know. But if not, then I really hope investigators have already looked into this. Because these are not random questions. They are logical, they are necessary, and they matter. We will focus here on the night Nancy disappeared. Now let's move to the night everything changed. The night where everything still seemed normal, until suddenly it wasn't. Nancy was dropped off at her home. Everything seemed routine. Nothing unusual, nothing alarming, no signs of distress, no indication that anything was about to go wrong. But then, about 4 hours later, her pacemaker connection dropped. And that's a critical moment, because a pacemaker doesn't just disconnect randomly without reason. That moment was the exact point when something happened. Now think about this carefully. If Nancy had serious health issues and her pacemaker stopped transmitting, why didn't that trigger an immediate response? Was someone monitoring it? Was anyone supposed to be alerted? Or was this just another system that existed but wasn't actively being watched? Because there's a big difference between having safety systems and actually using them. Then comes the next day. Nancy doesn't show up for her regular church service or to watch the service with some friend or friends. They called to check on Nancy and could not get in touch with her. And that's how family found out that their mother is missing. Now here's something interesting. Savannah mentioned on a TV interview that, on a good day, Nancy could walk to her mailbox. But otherwise, she struggled. So now ask yourself, how was Nancy regularly attending weekly service? Was someone helping her? Was she being picked up? Did she have consistent assistance? Or was she pushing herself beyond her limits just to maintain her routine? And then she misses just one service and people immediately notice and call? That tells us something important. Nancy was consistent. She had a routine. People expected her, and when she didn't show up, it stood out. Which also means anyone observing her regularly would have known that too. They would know her habits, her schedule, her vulnerabilities, and that matters. How about care, support, and unanswered concerns? I understand what some of you might be thinking, that I'm focusing too much on Nancy's family members. But let me be clear, this is not about accusing anyone. That's not my role, and it's not my intention. Determining responsibility belongs to law enforcement, and I respect that completely. What we're doing here is something different. We're asking questions, carefully, thoughtfully, and respectfully. Because if you step into the mindset of an investigator, or even just a naturally curious person, you don't limit your perspective. You look at every angle. You consider every behavior. You ask what fits and what doesn't. That's how clarity begins. Approaching a case like this with bias or choosing sides too early only clouds the truth. And if the goal is to understand what really happened, then fairness and open-mindedness are essential. And to be clear, this conversation isn't just about Nancy's family members. We will be looking at others connected to this case as well. No one is being singled out, and no possibility is being ignored. At least I am trying not to. Now let's talk about care for a little bit. Just bear with me, because this part is difficult but necessary. If someone you love is elderly, has health issues, and struggles to even walk short distances, wouldn't you want extra support in place? A nurse, regular check-ins, active monitoring through cameras, something anything that reduces risk. Because care isn't just about love, it's about action, it's about prevention. So the question is, was Nancy truly being supported the way she needed, or was her condition being overlooked? Now let's move to something even more concerning: the search efforts. When people go missing, families are usually the first ones out there, walking, searching, calling out their names. We've seen it in so many cases. Desperation, urgency, emotion, but here, people are searching, community members are showing up, and yet, where is the family? Why the hesitation? Why not stand with the people looking for your loved one? Now, I'm not accusing anyone, but I am asking, what stopped them? Fear, threats, shock? Because sometimes silence can speak louder than words. Also, the reward and response time from the family side. The FBI steps in and announces reward money for information. That's a big step. It means they believe someone out there knows something. Someone saw something. Someone heard something. It seems that a few individuals came forward after the reward was announced, but from what we understand, some of those were quickly identified as false leads. People trying to take advantage of the situation rather than genuinely help. However, there were also mentions, whether from Savannah, family members, or even law enforcement, that one or two of those tips might have been credible. And that raises an important question. What happened to those leads? If any of them were considered legitimate, what came out of them? Were they fully investigated? Did they lead anywhere? Or did they simply go quiet over time? And perhaps even more importantly, that someone involved in Nancy's disappearance, did they ever try to make contact after that? Was there any attempt again to negotiate from either side? Because those details, what was followed up on and what wasn't, could make all the difference in understanding what really happened. But then, why did it take so much time for Savannah to add to that reward? In situations like this, time matters. Every hour, every day, could mean the difference between finding answers or losing them forever. So again, it raises questions, not conclusions, but questions. How about if we talk a little about the investigation details and concerns? So the sheriff arrived at the crime scene. The scene is examined. But what do we actually know? Dogs couldn't pick up a clear scent. There was blood near the front door. The back door was open. And beyond that, there's a lot we don't know. And that's part of the problem, because transparency matters. Now here's something that stood out. The scene was eventually opened after some time. How funny is that? And people were walking around, on the porch, around the house, potentially disturbing evidence. Footprints, trace materials, anything that could have helped. Once the scene is compromised, you can't go back. And that's what makes this so frustrating. Even John, Jane, Steve, or Eve from the search party wouldn't think of opening the crime scene so fast. Then there's the footage. People questioned how it was recovered without a subscription. But here's the reality. Companies can sometimes assist in extraordinary situations. And instead of questioning that, people should be grateful that any footage was recovered at all. Because without it, we'd have even less to work with. Now, how about DNA, agencies, and teamwork? Because we heard about DNA being sent out separately, not fully coordinated with FBI. And look, no investigation is perfect. But in cases like this, collaboration matters. Because when agencies work together, they share data, insights, resources. They connect dots faster. Yes, one man's show will make you feel very special if you achieve something extraordinary by yourself, but working in isolation can slow things down, and time is something you can't afford to lose. Now, Theories and patterns. Let's talk about possibilities, because I don't believe this was random. This doesn't feel like someone just drove by and made a decision. No, this feels planned, thought out, observed. Someone could have been watching the house, tracking Nancy's routine, or they already knew the routine, understanding her vulnerabilities. Days, maybe weeks of preparation, because crimes like this rarely happen without intent. And when intent is involved, there's usually a pattern, a buildup, something that, if we look closely enough, might still be there. Now I have some suggestions and final thoughts. I want to share a couple of ideas. Just thoughts, but potentially useful. First, satellite imagery. Is it possible to analyze movement in that area during that time? Vehicles and their types, their directions, patterns, unusual activity. Even partial data could help. Second, cell phone records. Look at the data from the tower near Nancy's home. Track connections for that week, then narrow it down. Remove known residence numbers first from the list. Focus on unknown or irregular numbers. Whose phone was in that area for certain days, the timelines, and where are those people now? Because patterns reveal behavior, and behavior reveals truth. And finally, I am sorry to say, but if this were my family, I would want everything examined. Even my own neighbors and family's call records, messages, because finding the truth should matter more than comfort, should matter more than appearances. This case is still unfolding, and the truth might surprise all of us. Who did it, why they did it, and what really happened that night. If you made it this far, thank you for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. What do you think happened? And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video, because the more people who see it, the closer we might get to answers. Keep Nancy in your prayers. I'll see you in the next one. Take care of yourself and the people around you. Bye for now.